Good morning. Would like to bring the May 28th Appropriations Committee to order. Mr. Bradford notices that we have a quorum. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Fuentes.
Here.
Conway. Here.
Mr. Hernandez, would you like to...
Should have got the budget chair out of here. We always defer.
I'm
to
sorry.
business.
Mr. Blumenfield here?
Yes.
Mr. Blumenfield, Mr. Budget Chair, would you like to step up?
Deference.
In deference to the Budget Chair and all of the immediately pending work that the Chair has. Mr. Blumenfield?
Rise today in support of AB 1718. For more than 30 years, the California Senior Citizens Deferred Property Tax Program helped thousands of low and moderate income, elderly, and disabled throughout the state remain in their homes by postponing their property taxes using state-financed loans. The general fund made the interest earned on these loans, and that's how the program worked. Unfortunately, the program had participants in every county but Alpine. It was suspended indefinitely last year in the state budget cuts, leaving over 5,000 elderly and disabled homeowners, mostly on fixed incomes, unable to pay their property taxes. The default exposed these homeowners to the threat of foreclosure or forced sale on their homes from property tax delinquencies. As proposed to be amended, this bill, AB 1718, would re-engineer the Senior Citizens Deferred Property Tax Program to permit elderly and disabled homeowners to remain in their homes at no cost to the general fund, and enable the counties to collect timely on property taxes that are owed to them. The Comptroller, who administered the program and is the sponsor of this bill and has been really great about working many hours with us on trying to make this program work, reports that over 5,500 participants at the time of the program, there were that many when it was suspended. So what this bill is going to do is it's going to do several things. It's going to establish a revolving special fund from which the property tax postponement loans would be made safe. Allow the state to secure loans to homeowners to pay property taxes with a first priority lien. And third, establish a new pooled investment fund into which counties would invest monies to raise more than $9 to $15 million needed for the property tax postponement loans. The county investments would be for 10 years. County investments would be pegged to a 10-year Treasury bill rates, as would the interest charged to homeowners. Homeowner loans would be extended for a 10-year period with the possibility to apply for an extension if funds are available. And homeowners would be assessed an annual $75 fee for the costs. I think you're going through time, so I will just let you know we've spent a lot of time working on this with CSAC and tax collectors, and I urge your support.
Very good. First witness in support.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Jean Hurst on behalf of the California State Association of Counties. As Mr. Blumenfield mentioned, we've spent a good amount of time trying to work these issues out. We've had great participation and assistance from the county treasurer, tax collectors, and I think we really can come up with a program that has no impact to the state general fund, allows these folks to stay in their homes, and allows counties to feel confident about the investment. We urge your support to move the bill along. We're committed to continue on working to make this program workable and sustainable and a good program for Californians. So we urge your vote.
Les Kleinberg with the State Controller's Office. We believe the PTP program is a very important program. This bill will allow us to reinstate it at least in a minimal way so that we can continue the program on. We certainly urge your support.
Michael Richard with AARP California in support.
Very good. Additional witnesses in support. In opposition, Department of Finance.
Mr. Chairman, Rob Schlottow with the Department of Finance. I'm sorry I do not have a file on this bill.
Mr. Blumenfield, would you like to close?
I ask for your aye.
Very good. The measure is a suspense candidate. Thank you for your presentation. We'll be dispensing with the suspense file momentarily, Mr. Blumenfield. Mr. Norby.
How is senior defined in this bill? What's the age cutoff?
I believe it's 65.
Okay, thank you.
Well, actually, I should confirm that, but
I think it's 62, Mr. Blumenfield.
63?
62.
62. I apologize. 62.
62? Okay.
And it's they have to have below a certain income. It's 130% poverty.
Very good. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you.
Ms. Harkey, you have a question? Thank you. Mr. Hernandez.
Morning, Mr. Chair and members. First of all, I'd like to thank the chair for helping me work through some of these amendments that we're going to be presenting today. I believe we will be taking the amendments for bills dated today, amendment number 1, and I think all of you have them passed out here. Again, thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Simply put, AB 1743 requires placement agents to register as lobbyists and will be subject to all of the various reporting provisions as well as the ban and contingency fees. Joining me today are representatives of the Comptroller's Office, Treasurer's Office, and CalPERS, who have all been active sponsors of this measure. Also joining us in support is Blackstone, and I'd like to just publicly thank them for all their cooperation and work with my office on this bill. Members, this bill has Republican co-authors and received unanimous support in the Elections Committee, and I would appreciate your aye vote. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. First witness in support.
Good morning, members. Jerome Latorre, representing Treasurer Lockyer, a co-sponsor of this measure. The State Treasurer's Office is in support of this measure and it establishes a policy that will uphold the fiduciary duty owed to the employees, retirees, and the public, and will help to keep corrosive elements out of the state's public pension systems. And for these reasons, we respectfully urge your aye vote. Thank you.
Good morning, committee. It's Danny Brown on behalf of the CalPERS Board of Administration. Who's a co-sponsor of the bill. This bill would have a minimal administrative cost to CalPERS and in no way will limit our ability to earn the best risk-adjusted rate of return for our members or impact any of our investment opportunities. However, we believe that this will increase our members' confidence that the board's investment decisions, these boards that consist of elected public officials, will be made in the best interest of our members without any bias and just based on the merit of the investments that are brought before us.
Very good.
Ask for your aye vote.
Next witness.
Sure. Dave O'Toole, representing State Controller John Chung. By enacting the bill, the state's employees, employers, and taxpaying public will be better assured that that those who seek to lobby public officials for public funds do so with complete transparency, ethics, and accountability. Thank you.
Additional witnesses in support?
Terry McGann, Mr. Chairman, from California Strategies and Advocacy, representing Blackstone. We are in support of the bill. We are still working on amendments that we think will make the bill even better, and we urge the committee to move the bill out. Thank you.
Very good. Additional witnesses in support?
Melissa Tanner with the California State Teachers Retirement System in support.
Rhonda Pascal on behalf of Secretary of State Deborah Bowen, also in support.
Julia Hassel with AARP. We are in support.
Very good. Additional witnesses? Witnesses in opposition?
Mr. Chair and members, Joanne Betancourt representing the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association. We have a oppose unless amended position on this bill due to policy grounds and specifically with the ban on contingency fees. As you know, virtually all securities transactions are done contingent on fees, and that's just the way that our industry operates. With respect to the sunset, no, I have not seen the amendments. I hear that there's going to be a reporting mechanism and not a sunset. And we still believe that a bill that claims to provide transparency and accountability should follow through and create a mechanism. And we believe that a sunset does just that versus a report that can be just put in a drawer and shoved aside, never to see the light of the day. And we feel that the people at CalPERS deserve to have this come back, reviewed, and reviewed through a process, and a sunset does just that. We respectfully urge your no vote. Thank you.
Alex Alanis with the California Bankers Association in opposition to the bill.
Very good. Additional witnesses in opposition. Mr. Calderon.
I was hoping that is PERS here? No, they're not. Interesting. PERS is here. Oh, PERS is here. The question I have is, how is this going to affect your emerging managers program?
CalPERS does not believe that it's going to have an impact on our emerging manager program. Our chief investment officer has made a commitment to make sure that we have the ability to go out and do outreach and make sure that investment proposals will come to CalPERS and will be reviewed. In fact, we've just started a system, put in place a system where investment transactions could come into one place in CalPERS by asset class. They'll all be reviewed by investment manager in-house. Our chief investment officer will be in charge of making sure that tracking that, and everybody will be given a decision one way or the other, so they'll know whether they're yes, a no, what things they may need to work on, what additional things, information they need, if additional vetting needs to be done or analysis, due diligence, that will happen too. So we are also going to put together some webinars so that our emerging managers know exactly what they need to do to put a proposal in front of our staff. And so the other thing too is this bill does not eliminate placement agents. Placement agents can still do work. They can still provide services to the emerging managers. This just would change the fee structure.
Do you think it'd be a better backstop, if you will, or a better approach to place heavier restrictions on staff and members of the board with respect to gifts and favors and a lot of the issues that are being raised in connection with this bill? Because, I mean, wouldn't that, in the last analysis, wouldn't that provide a lot more protection, because it's not the manager that's even if they offer favors, it's the staff or the members of the board that respond, and shouldn't the responsibility stop there?
If you don't mind, I'd like to maybe perhaps address that question. And some of that has been addressed in the previous bill that I introduced last year, which was AB 1584, which would require full disclosure on behalf of the board members as well. But also to your response to your question with regard to if this is going to be affecting emerging managers, part of the amendments that we're taking today, which means that they have to report back to the legislature by August of 2012, part of it would be a description of those external managers based on the size of assets under their control. That specifically would be addressing the emerging managers. And the other issue with regard to emerging managers, obviously the bill you supported, which was the Davis bill that was on the floor, which will specifically require the amount of a certain percentage of emerging managers have to do business with CalPERS.
All right. I don't think that'll do it. I don't think the governor will veto one, sign the other, and any report that comes back is not going to be a report that's going to give us a lot of information we can use, at least based on my experience.
Ms. Harkey.
Hi. I appreciate this coming back. The problems that I had with the bill still remain, and I understand that we differ on this. I just see that the problem is something other than what we're trying to address. And where we've got an issue, what's making the newspaper is persons acting as placement agents, not SEC registered qualified placement agents. So I think if we could shift the focus to those persons acting as, I'd feel a lot more comfortable with it. I do feel very, very comfortable with your extra reporting requirements. I don't think anybody doubts that that's something that should be complied with. It's not that big of a deal. But the contingency fee is really what keeps these people alive while they're representing clients. And as I understand that, they don't actually deal with board members. They deal with staff, and they're fully vetted. So that is my problem with the bill. I think we do have problems with influence peddling, but I don't think this addresses it. So I appreciate your efforts, though.
Very good. Hearing and seeing no further comments, members, the bill has been moved by Mr. Cotto, seconded by Mr. Bradford. The recommendation is due pass, but because of the Political Reform Act timelines, Mr. Hernandez, we will take those amendments in the Senate, and thank you for working with us on those amendments. The bill is out on a B roll call.
Thank you.
Mr. Recorded, our Majority Leader abstaining.
Thank you, Mr.
Very
Chair.
good. Thank you, sir.
Members.
Mr. Fong.
Mr. Chair and members, I will take the committee's amendments. AB 1975 will encourage water conservation.
Very good. The bill has been properly moved and seconded, Mr. Fong. The recommendation is due pass as amended. Do you have witnesses in support of the bill? Let's run through the witnesses quickly here.
Mr. Chair, committee members, my name is Jim Metropolis with the Sierra Club. Sierra Club California is a sponsor of AB 1975. There is a vast potential in metering and charging by volume the residents that live in multifamily or multi-unit residences. That is something that has not been done. The state has taken an active role in metering statewide residences and businesses. The bill will also help us with meeting our 20 by 2020 goals, and we look forward to seeing the committee's amendments.
Very good.
Bob Raymer with the California Building Industry Association, and very grateful for the amendments being taken to the bill. Look forward to working with the author as it moves forward. Thank you.
Deborah Carlton with the California Apartment Association. We also want to thank the chairman and the author for agreeing to the amendments that we will, I think, see next week, and we're comfortable with seeing the bill move forward.
Mr. Chair, members, Steve Carlson for the Utility Conservation Coalition, which is a group of the companies that provide the water metering and billing services, and the Apartment Association of Greater Los Angeles. We, too, appreciate the amendments that were made. We do think the bill continues to need some work, but we would like to move the bill forward and continue to work on it. This is an important issue, and we want to make sure it's right.
Jonathan Clay on behalf of the San Diego County Water Authority. We're in support of the bill as in print. We reserve the right to change our position once we see the language of the new amendments that will be placed in the bill.
Meg Katzenbrown, representing the California Water Association, also in support of the bill pending review of the amendments. We do still have some issues which we are not sure will be addressed in this round of amendments. However, we're looking forward to continuing to work with the author and the sponsor of the bill to address our remaining concerns.
Mr. Chair and members, Matt Seiberling on behalf of the California Agricultural Commissioners and Sealers Association. The sealers are okay with the bill as long as the sub-meters which are installed into the apartment complexes are accurate and reliable and meet all state standards and requirements. Thank you.
Additional witnesses, Department of Finance.
Mr. Chair, we have no state cost for this bill.
Very good. Mr. Fong, would you like to close?
I respectfully request your aye vote.
Very good. The bill is out on a B roll call with Mr. Norby and Nielsen reported as no, and Ms. Harkey and Ms. Conway off. Is Mr. Emerson present? How about Mr. Bradford? Would you like to present on your bill?
Mr. Chair, members, I'm presenting on AB 2758, Supply Diversity. Before I begin, I would like to take this opportunity to convey my appreciation both to committee chair, the cable industry, and individuals who have worked with me and my staff to move this bill forward. I continue to believe that the state can benefit from information about the procurement efforts of this sector and encourage more companies to follow in the footsteps, such as Comcast and Cox, who have provided this information freely. At this time, I would like to refocus the bill on emerging technologies that are regulated. Utilities are procuring for and encourage increased procurement for renewables, broadband, wireless, and smart grid. Recovery from the current economic downturn must include a focus on new and growing businesses that will promote job creation and retention amongst all sectors. Our economic recovery in this state is too important to ignore the potential areas of improvement to policies that are successful and can be expanded to increase success. Small businesses are critical.
Move the bill.
Sources.
Very good, Mr. Bradford. The bill's been moved and seconded by Mr. Cotto and Mr. Tarico. Do you have witnesses in support?
Mr. Chair, my name is Sam Kang, representing the Green Line Institute, the bill's sponsor. We enthusiastically support this bill, and we respectfully request your aye vote.
Next witness.
Kelly Boyd on behalf of Southern California Edison. We do still need a little clarification on the RPS section, renewable section, since it's subject to competitive bid, but we are very much in support of the bill.
Additional witnesses in support? In opposition?
Mr. Chairman and members, Carolyn McIntyre on behalf of the California Cable and Telecommunications Association. I just want to ask for clarification. It sounded like Assemblymember Bradford was removing cable and broadband from the bill, but it's not clear that the bill has been amended.
Author?
I'm removing cable.
Very good. To answer your question, Ms. McIntyre?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony. Any additional witnesses in support and opposition? Department of Finance?
We have minor and absorbable costs for the Public Utilities Commission.
Very good. The bill's been properly moved and seconded. The measure is out on a B roll call. Thank you, Mr. Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
As amended. Mr. Calderon, would you like to present?
Pleases you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to, do you want me to take up both bills or just in order?
Well, you do have a suspense candidate. We're happy to waive presentation if that's okay with you.
And which one? That's the...
So that's 2060, and then you've got 2230, the FTB measure.
So both of those...
No, FTB is recommended do pass. So we need your presentation on Assembly Bill 2230.
2230. All right, this relates to fixed sales or fixed contracts with the state when the state in a given year decides to raise sales taxes. Historically, anytime the state has done that, it has exempted these fixed price contracts between...
Mr. Calderon, you're presenting on, it sounds like you're presenting...
I thought you said 2230.
2230 is the FTB posting on the website of the expenditures. And the one that you were presenting on sounded like you were talking about the fixed price contract.
Right, okay, so help me, I'm having a bad day.
Yes, Mr. Calderon. Mr. Majority Leader, Assembly Bill 2060, I would recommend that you waive presentation as it is a suspense candidate.
Right.
And I recommend that you present on Assembly Bill 2230, which has a do pass recommendation, members. If anybody would like to entertain a motion to move this measure.
Move the bill.
Very good. The bill's been properly moved and seconded. Any witnesses in support?
Is that enough help?
It's... we struggle every budget year to determine what our tax burden is on California business. And we are constantly blamed for having the highest tax rate in the nation. And the reality is that we do have the highest tax rate in the nation, but the fundamental question is how much taxes are being paid given that rate in California. And we don't know that. As it is, we know that large multinational and multi-international corporations can shift their assets to jurisdictions with lower taxes and maintain their costs in California so as to balance out their tax liability through the apportionment process. So what I want to know is I want to know exactly, based on gross receipts, effectively how much taxes has any company been spent in California, and this would make available on the FTB website information to that extent on their website. So I ask for an aye vote.
Very good. First witness in support?
Yes, Lenny Goldberg, California Tax Reform Association. The SEC 10K forms require that every corporation list the amount of federal tax they have paid. When they did that in 1985-86, it became clear that there were hundreds of major corporations with profits that were not paying any income taxes, and that provoked the Reagan tax reform of 1986. Now, on those SEC 10K forms, the corporations are supposed to also list the state taxes they've paid. So this is not a privacy issue. The problem is that the state taxes are an aggregate number paid to all jurisdiction in all kinds of states. Now here we know from some presentations at the Board of Equalization that major corporations are paying zero in tax in California, and we can that's been documented. So the question is, the same kind of information that is required to be reported at the federal level is what this bill calls for, to say for the 100 largest corporations, we don't have our own SEC 10K forms, but we do say, how much did you pay in tax to the state of California? It's as simple as that. It's what's done at the federal level, and we urge your support.
Very good. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Mira Gerten here on behalf of the California Chamber of Commerce in opposition to this bill. While the bill only poses a small expense to the state, we feel it is a completely unnecessary one, as information that is private for individual taxpayers, publishing that on the website is unnecessary for the legislature to make the determinations it needs to make. The legislature has the power to seek this information from agencies and from companies at any time, privately and behind the walls of the public. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Michelle Peelsticker, California Taxpayers Associations. If taxpayers are reluctant to avail themselves of investment incentives due to the privacy issues in this bill, it could reduce their incentive effect and ultimately lower investment in the state, and for those reasons we're opposed.
Chris McHaley, California Aerospace Technology Association. We have the same privacy concerns. We met with the author earlier this week and suggested that the information be provided in aggregate form rather than taxpayer-specific form.
Good morning. Greg Hines, California Manufacturers and Technology Association, opposed for the previous reasons stated.
Jason Lane, California Bankers Association, also opposed.
Additional witnesses in opposition. Department of Finance.
No file.
Very good, members. The bill's been moved and seconded. Would you like to close, Mr. Calvin?
Yes, on the privacy issue, up until from 1913 to 1976, tax returns in this country were classified as public information. And California already publishes information on unpaid taxes and delinquent taxpayers, and other states have adopted similar bills: Wisconsin, West Virginia, Arkansas, Massachusetts. The Supreme Court has ruled that publicity of tax returns does not violate the Fourth or the Fifth Amendment, and I would argue that that would be ample authority for constitutional support of this. I will close by simply saying that I think that this benefits companies and corporations in this state because they have been telling us for years and years and years, even going back the first time I was here, that they pay high taxes, that those high taxes affect their ability to function in California, and this will prove that they're right. I ask for an aye vote.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. The measure is out on a B roll call. Mr. Cotto, would you like to present on your bill?
Move it from the do pass file? Is that the idea?
Mr. Chairman and members, AB 2483 is a district bill that.
Second. Very good. This district bill has been moved and seconded. Mr. Cotto, do you have witnesses in support?
Yes, we do.
Mr. Chair and members, Monica Miller representing the Santa Clara Valley Water District here in support of the bill as the sponsor, and we also have with us our legal counsel in the event that there are any technical questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I'm Ron Davis with the Association of California Water Agencies. We are also in support of this measure and prepared to answer any questions. It's a good government bill that we strongly support.
Additional witnesses in support? In opposition?
I'm Jim Fiedler. I'm with Santa Clara Valley Water District. Good morning, Chair and members. Thank you for the opportunity. This update of our act is especially and timely necessary given the legislature's recent passage of sweeping reform in water in a generation, given the new direction from the legislature and the need for increased conservation. We believe this bill is important to us. This should have no fiscal impact with the state, as our board has passed a reimbursement disclaimer resolution noting our request for the additional authority in our bill and declaring no reimbursement is required by the state. Thank you.
Next witness. In support? In opposition? Any additional witnesses in support or opposition?
I'm Gail Dillahant with Western Growers Association. We are in opposition of this bill at this time. We have had conversations with the sponsor, but we're not there yet. So we'd like to voice our opposition.
Very good.
Meg Katzenbrown, representing the California Water Association, San Jose Water Company, and California Water Service Company, all in opposition to the bill. I will say that we are our heartfelt appreciation to the author for encouraging the bill's sponsor to work with their local retailers in fashioning this act. However, it's not soup yet. We have made a lot of progress, I think, with the district in addressing some of our concerns. Our clients have met with them weekly, in some cases twice a week, in order to resolve the issues. We still have outstanding issues, however, as the district is moving from basically a wholesale district and a wholesaler relationship to a regulatory relationship over the water suppliers. We are cautiously optimistic that we will be able to resolve our remaining concerns with the district in the weeks ahead. However, at this time, we remain in opposition to the bill.
Very good. Additional witnesses in support and opposition?
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, Mark Thiessen with the Gualco Group representing the Great Oaks Water Company in opposition to the bill.
Very good. Department of Finance.
We have no cost to the state.
Mr. Cotto, would you like to close?
Just to say, members, that we will continue to work with, as the witnesses have specified, continue to work with them to wind up with a bill that is agreeable to all, and thank you for your aye vote.
Very good. The measure's been properly moved and seconded. The measure is out on a B roll call. Thank you, Mr. Cotto. Ms. Skinner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'll be presenting on AB 2362, the soft-story buildings.
Move the bill.
Second.
Very good. The bill has been
you.
properly moved and seconded. Do you have any witnesses in support or in opposition, Ms. Skinner?
No, I don't.
Hearing and seeing none. Department of Finance?
No state costs.
Measures out on an A roll call. Thank you, Ms. Skinner. Mr. Tirico.
I'm sure that everyone will be disappointed that I'm waiving presentation on the
Are you
bill
certain,
that's
Mr. Tirico, that
scheduled
you want to
for-
waive presentation?
It's suspense, correct?
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Tirico.
Yes, sir. I'm certain.
Morning, Mr. Fuentes. Thank
Good
you
morning,
for joining
Madam
us
Chair.
to present your bills this
It's a
morning.
pleasure to be here, Madam Chair. Assembly Bill 1714 deals with the Department of Justice judgments and settlements. This bill appropriates $1.1 million from the general fund to the
Second.
Department of Justice to pay
Okay, we have a motion
two
and a
court
second.
settlements. The bill is one of two annual bills carried by the Appropriations Chair to provide appropriation authority for state judgments and settlements as approved by the DOJ and Department of Finance. There is no opposition. Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Witness in support? Do you want to speak? No? Yes?
Bruce Reeves from the Department of Justice, Attorney General's Office, available to answer any questions if there are some.
Okay, Department of Finance?
We concur in the amount.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fuentes. This bill is out on a due pass recommendation with an A roll call.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 911, Kehoe, Department of Justice Judgments and Settlements. This bill appropriates $840,000 from the general fund to the Department of Justice to pay 2 court settlements. This bill is one of 2 annual bills carried by the Appropriations Chairs to provide appropriation authority for state judgments and settlements as approved by the Department of Justice and the Department of Finance. Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. This is recommended due pass on an A roll call. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very good. We are going to go ahead and take up the suspense file for the education bills. First bill, Assembly Bill 1605, CODO, subject school facilities, review of plans, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1646, Hayashi, high school athletic coach training, holding committee. Hayashi, Assembly Bill 1647, requires school districts to regulate high school sports. Members looking for a motion to move Assembly Bill 1647. Very good. Mr. Almanio moves. Seconded by Mr. Bradford. We're going to be substituting that role here on out. That bill is out on a Republicans not voting. Assembly Bill 1673, Mendoza, Adult Education, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1683, Torres, County Offices of Education Programs, do pass with amendments to delete the child care portion of the bill. Republicans are off. Yeah, I'm going to need you, though. Assembly Bill 1702, Swanson, Community College Inmate Education Programs, do pass with amendments providing reimbursement at the career development and college preparation course rate where appropriate. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1761, Fong, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1807, Fong, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1831, Solorio, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1889, Portantino, modifying California Private Post-Secondary Education Act of 2009, do pass. Out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1922, Davis, Civil Rights Education Commission, do pass with amendments to make the commission advisory and narrow the scope of its duties. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1950, Brownlee, Charter School Accountability, do pass. Measures out on a B, roll call. Assembly Bill 1967, Mendoza, Pupil Admission, Kindergarten and First Grade, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 1988, Hagman, Chino Valley Unified School District Minimum School Day, do pass with amendments to require a school district to complete 10 additional days for 2 consecutive school years. The measure is out on an A, roll call. Assembly Bill 1989, Mendoza, County Boards of Education Elections, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2013, Arambula, Alternative Schools Accountability, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2019, Torlakson, Education Technology, do pass. Measures out on a B, roll call. Assembly Bill 2027, Blumenfield, Online Education, do pass with amendments to 1. Clarify alternative schools that are eligible under this bill. 2. Require school districts to choose 2 methods for pupil verification. 3. Require the SPI to develop attendance regulations prior to schools offering asynchronous online learning. Measures out on an A, roll call. Assembly Bill 2040, Brownlee, Teacher Leader Study, do pass. Measures out on an A, roll call. Assembly Bill 2047, Hernandez, Incorporating Demographic Characteristics into UC and CSU Admissions Policies, do pass. Out on a B, roll call. Assembly Bill 2069, Carter, Instructional Materials, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2079, Torlakson, Providing Information to Prospective Student Athletes, do pass with amendments requiring the notification requirements only following personal contact and delaying implementation until July 1, 2011. Measures out on a B, roll call. Assembly Bill 2082, Brownlee, Reimbursable State Mandates, do pass with amendments. Delete reference to substantial compliance. Technical amendments to fixed timeline. Measures out on an A, roll call. Assembly Bill 2089, Kodo, American Indian Education, do pass. Out on an A, roll call. Assembly Bill 2095, Brownlee, Instructional Materials, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2159, Anderson, Provide in-state tuition to out-of-state veterans, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2161, Fong, School Districts, Formal Bid Notices, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2172, Carter, Multiple Pathway Advisory Committee, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2178, Torlakson, After School Education, do pass with clarifying amendments regarding CalPADS reference, out on an A, roll call. Assembly Bill 2211, Fuentes, Work-Based Learning, do pass, out on an A, roll call. Assembly Bill 2252, Tarico, Expand State Preschool Programs, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2265, Solace, California, Longitudinal Pupil Achievement Data System, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2272, Block K3 Class Size Reduction Program, hold in committee. Assembly 2273, Torlakson, Accountability Reforms, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2298, Torlakson, Physical Education, do pass with amendments to delete instructional materials requirement, remove the instructional minute change for elementary schools, and delete the Golden State program changes. Measures out on a B, roll call. Assembly Bill 2302, Fong, Post-Secondary Education Student Transfer, do pass. Out on a B, roll call. AB 2320, Swanson, Charter Schools Petition Appeal Process, do pass with amendments to restore the County Board of Education appeal process. Out on a B, roll call. Torlakson, Child Care Direct Service Contracts, hold in committee. Brownlee, Assembly Bill 2335, School-Based Financial Reporting System, do pass. Out on an A, roll call. Assembly Bill 2366, Brownlee, K-12 Revenue Limit Funding, do pass. Out on a B, roll call. Assembly Bill 2385, John Perez, Speaker Perez, Pilot Program for Accelerated Nursing and Allied Healthcare Profession Education of the California Community Colleges, do pass with amendments establishing the pilot at up to 5 campuses, requiring the Chancellor's Office to pursue a variety of fund sources, make the program contingent on the Chancellor's Office obtaining resources, stressing innovation and program delivery rather than program acceleration, authorizing campuses to charge a supplemental fee to students participating in the pilot. Out on a B, roll call. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Assembly Bill 2401, Block, CSU Admissions Policy, do pass with amendments clarifying the provisions do not pertain to UC and allowing for amendments to the memorandum defining local service area. Measures out on a B, roll call. Assembly Bill 2402, Block, requiring CSU to provide notification of changes to admissions criteria, do pass with amendments, deleting appearances before school boards, etc., reduce notice time to 10 days prior to public hearings, delete the elimination of majors from the process, allowing for amendments to the memorandum defining local service area. The measure is out on a B, roll call. Assembly Bill 2434, Hernandez, Advanced Placement Programs, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2445 for Ratani, Multiple Pathway Report, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 2446 for Ratani, Graduation Requirements in Career Technical Education, do pass with an amendment requiring the State Department of Education to collect data on career tech education courses. Measure is out on an A, roll call. Assembly Bill 2447 for Ratani, providing inflation adjustment to certain Cal grants, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2454, Torlix and school nurses, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2553, Brownlee, kindergarten readiness, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2592, Buchanan, early learning quality rating system, due pass with amendments to narrow the bill to a pilot program, make it a contingent upon the receipt of federal funds for this purpose, establish a sunset. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2682, block, due pass with Assembly Bill 2682, developing statewide student assessment for community colleges, due pass with an amendment requiring the test data warehouse to also collect available K through 12 assessment data and transcript information. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2705, Hall, physical education, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2752, Blakesley, establishing standard CSU transfer curriculum, due pass. Measures out on an A roll call. ACR 138 NAVA, increasing community college faculty pay and benefits, due pass with amendments stating that the full-time, part-time, and pay parity provisions are intended to the extent funding is provided, deleting provisions regarding prorating of salaries, annual reductions and pay gaps, and providing health insurance. Measures out on a B roll call.
Really good.
I'm working up. All right, we're going to revenue and taxation on the suspense file, not pile, Ms. Conway, file. Assembly Bill 1662, Portantino, disaster relief for victims in numerous counties. Recommendation is due pass. Out on a roll call. Assembly Bill 1687, Jeffries, reducing sales taxes paid by destination management companies, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1718, Monning, locally funded senior citizens and disabled citizens property tax postponement program, due pass with amendments to delete contents of the bill, add locally funded property tax postponement program provisions, and make Assemblymember Blumenfield the author. Measures out on a roll call. AB 1777, Portantino, using general fund sales tax for local grant programs for the arts, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1935, De Leon, making single sales factor mandatory instead of elective, hold in committee. Assembly Bill 1936, De Leon, eliminating net operating loss carryback deductions, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1973, Swanson, employer tax credit for hiring ex-offenders, due pass with amendments, merging credit for ex-offenders with existing hiring credit. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2014, Tarico, income tax credit for energy efficiency improvements in 4 counties, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2017, Hall, personal income tax checkoff for YMCA youth and government program, due pass with amendments deleting findings and declarations. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2038, Ing, suspending professional licenses for unpaid income taxes, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2060, Calderon, exempting certain fixed price contracts from future sales tax increases, due pass. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2126, Garrick, reducing minimum tax for companies through their 10th year of operation, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2148, Tran, personal income tax deduction for physician services at clinics or hospitals, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2492, Amiana, requiring change of ownership reassessments when 100% of ownership interest is sold, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2528, Knight, conformity to federal law that excludes class for clunker vouchers from income taxation, due pass. Measures out on an A roll call. AB 2556, Fuller, allowing the Board of Equalization to waive interest on delinquent taxes on foreign purchases, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2605, Delatorre, FTB fraud reporting reward program, due pass with amendments deleting the bill's contents and replacing language with requires the Department of General Services at least 30 days prior to selling or leasing the 11 state properties authorized in last year's budget to submit a cost-benefit analysis of the proposed transaction to the legislature. Conditions the sale or lease on the legislature finding the transaction in the state's best interest and authorizing a sale by statute. Republicans not voting. The measure is out. Assembly Bill 2630, Emerson, raising size of employers eligible for hiring credit beginning in 2011, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2640, Arambula, eliminating parking subsidy exclusion and creating new business credit for purchases, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2641, Arambula, requiring legislature to review tax expenditures, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2665, Strickland, income tax credit for gas stations purchasing standby generators, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2666, Skinner, reporting tax expenditures on state website. Do pass with amendments eliminating company reporting requirements and penalties and replaced with requirements for FTB to compile tax expenditure information reported on returns. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2687, Bradford, income tax credit for infrastructure investment and increased cargo volume in and around ports, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2735, De Leon, property taxation, change in ownership, exclusion, Holding Committee. Labor and Public Employment on the suspense file, Assembly Bill 1592, Nava, spot bill to ratify provisions of any future MOU for Business Unit 19, do pass. Republicans not voting, the measure is out. Assembly Bill 1651, De La Torre, ensuring local furloughed employees receive full retirement credits, do pass with technical clarifying amendments. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1665, Swanson, requiring notification by school employers of changes in working hours, do pass with amendments deleting 15-day notice requirement. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1699, Hernandez, continuous appropriation for state employees during late budget, do pass. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1744, Portantino, Employees Bill of Rights, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1764, Portantino, freezes salaries for employees making more than $150,000, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1765, Solorio, exempting EDD employees from furloughs, do pass. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1903, Fong, California Workplace and Economic Information Program, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2008, Arambula, Public Employment Furloughs, do pass with amendments eliminating employees of CDCR and coordinating remaining provisions with AB 1765. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2727, Bradford, prohibiting employers from denying an application for employment due to prior convictions under specific circumstances, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2337, Amiano, Public Retirement System, Investments, Predatory Investment Practices, do pass with amendments narrowing scope to private real estate investments and deleting requirements that pension boards deal directly with tenant complaints. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2570, Ma, reclassifying PEOs for unemployment insurance contribution calculations, do pass. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2584, Torlixon, Management of School District Personnel Directors, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2608, Chesbro, Restore Rural Health Care Equity Program, Hold in Committee. Assembly Bill 2726, Lowenthal, requiring state and local investment boards to direct federal job training funds to approve apprenticeship programs, do pass. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 277, Monning, referring employers violating wage standards to be referred to tax agencies for potential audits, do pass. Measures out on a B roll call. Criminal Justice on the suspense file, Assembly Bill 1601, Hill, DUI permanent license revocation, do pass as amended to create an appeal and restoration process for a permissive 10-year revocation and delete the proposed elimination of the washout period. Republicans are not voting. That measure is out. Assembly Bill 1678, Liu, parole restrictions, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1768, Solorio, county jail construction and state reentry beds, do pass as amended to delete the current contents of the bill. Assembly Bill 1768, Solorio, County Jail Construction and State Reentry Beds, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1810, Fuhrer, Long Guns, do pass with technical amendments. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1828, Cook, Correctional Peace Officer Standards and Training, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1844, Fletcher, Sex Offender Penalty Increases, Chelsea's Law. The recommendation, members, is do pass as amended to substitute serious... Oh, that's right. Very good. Members, let me start from the beginning here with AB 1844, Fletcher. Sex offender penalty increases, Chelsea's Law. The measure is a do pass recommendation. The measure does not enjoy the support of the chair because of the fiscal concerns. We have worked with the author to try to address those. The author is not taking the amendments to address the fiscal issues, so the chair will not be voting in support of the measure. Assembly Bill 1844 has a do pass recommendation. It's out on an A roll call with Fuentes not voting, with Skinner not voting, with Amiano not voting, with Modding not voting. The measure is out. All right. Assembly Bill 1850, Galgiani, Sex Offender Parole and Probation Conditions, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1925, Salas, Veterans Courts. Do pass as amended to clarify there is no reimbursable state mandate. The measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1961, Gilmore, California Rehabilitation Oversight Board Reports, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2054, Miller, Sex Offender Sentence Credits, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2173, Bell, Emergency Air Medical Transportation Providers, Penalty Surcharge Increase. Do pass with amendments to cover court costs. Measures out on A roll call. Assembly Bill 2200, Solorio, Reentry Programs, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2208, Torres, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2222, Galgiani, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2233, Nielsen, Inmate Health Care. Do pass as amended to delete language regarding a new health care system and clarify study provisions. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2246, Blakesley, Battery, Gassing, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2258, Bass, California Public Safety Commission. Do pass as amended to state legislative intent to create the California Public Safety Commission. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2262, Bass, Parole ID Cards. Do pass as amended to delete the pilot programs and instead require CDCR to provide each parolee their existing California ID card or driver's license when the inmate has previously been assigned such ID and if the ID license number is in the CDCR's possession. Republicans not voting. Assembly Bill 2263, Yamada, Sentencing. Do pass. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2264, De Leon, Debt Collection from Homeless Youth. Do pass as amended to require the court to consider alternatives to garnishment if the court has reason to believe the defendant is homeless. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2276, Fletcher, Arson, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2290, Bradford, Summary Parole Notification of Local Law Enforcement. Do pass as amended to provide notice within 45 days or as soon as practicable via the lead system. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2295. Assembly Bill 2295, Dilatory Parole, Retention of Records. Do pass as amended to codify current retention practice for sex offenders. Measure is out without Republican votes. Assembly Bill 2319, Swanson, Human Trafficking Minors, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2326, Bass, Reentry Advisory Committee. Do pass as amended to limit the bill to advisory status with no reports and no mandatory grant applications. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2459, Caballero, Juvenile Offenders Probation, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2548, Block, Prescription Drug Monitoring, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2650, Buchanan, Marijuana Dispensaries. Do pass as amended to specify dispensaries must not be located within 600 feet of a public or private K-12 school, and to specify the bill does not preempt local ordinances in effect as of January 1, 2011.
No.
Measures out on an A roll call. Mr. Amiano is recorded as a no vote. Mr. Norby is recorded as not voting on Assembly Bill 2650, Buchanan. Assembly Bill 2668, Galgiani, Corrections, Telemedicine. Do pass as amended to strike the current contents of the bill and prohibit specified weapons in the state capitol. Republicans not voting. The measure is out. Assembly Bill 2715, Bass, 3 strikes, Legislative Analyst Report, Holding Committee. Health and Human Services on the suspense file, members. Assembly Bill 1593, Yamada, Expanding Adult Day Health Care Centers. Do pass as amended to make contingent on the Budget Act. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1595 Jones, expanding Medi-Cal eligibility, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1599 Bell, Medi-Cal alcohol and drug screening and brief intervention services, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1600 Bell, requiring mental health service parity, do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1602 Speaker Perez, establishing the California Health Benefits Exchange, do pass. Bills out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1606 Codo, requiring Medi-Cal chronic disease self-management programs, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1640 Evans, funding breast and cervical cancer screening, do pass as amended to delete the continuous appropriation and make contingent on the Budget Act. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1642 Bell, establishing semi-annual reporting for food stamps and CalWorks, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1653 Jones, extending a Medi-Cal hospital quality assurance fee, do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1655 Evans, requiring court approval for foster children's psychotropic medication, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1733 Hill, establishing a Director of California Biotechnology, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1763 Liu, creating an IHSS provider background clearance transfer process, do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1804 Hagman, prohibiting employment training funds for CalWorks participants, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1808 Galgiani, Medi-Cal mental health services, foster children, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1822 Swanson, expands oversight of massage therapists, do pass as amended to eliminate the Department of Justice workload. The measure is out on without any Republican votes. Assembly Bill 1825 De La Torre, requiring coverage of maternity services, do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1826 Huffman, prohibiting the use of step therapy, do pass as amended to address brand drug pricing pressures. Assembly Bill is out without any Republican votes. Assembly Bill 1852 Portantino, finding non-related family members of foster children, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1864 Strickland, increasing a continuous appropriation in Medi-Cal, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1872 Galgiani, expending a specialized Medi-Cal hospital rate, do pass. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1887 Valines, establishing a temporary high-risk pool, do pass as amended to add an urgency clause. The measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1920 Davis, collecting personal information for foster youth, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1931 Tarico, extending the Roman Reed Spinal Cord Injury Research Fund, do pass as amended to eliminate the general fund costs. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1966 Fletcher, modifying FQHC Medi-Cal reimbursement, holding committee. Assembly Bills 1970 Fong, using IHSS providers at emergency shelters during emergencies, holding committee. Assembly Bill 1985 Galgiani, authorizing corrections to modify durable medical equipment practices, do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2004 Bell, creating a civic works subsidized employment program in CalWorks, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2025 De La Torre, requiring a Medi-Cal waiver submission, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2093 Victor Manuel Perez, addressing pediatric immunization reimbursements, do pass as amended to reduce general fund costs. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2104 Hayashi, modifying the governance of the California State Board of Pharmacy, do pass as amended to delete ex parte communication requirements. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2145 Amiano, establishing exemptions to drug overdose treatment liability, do pass as amended to delete the reporting requirement and eliminate general fund costs. The measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2170 Lowenthal, prohibiting health insurers from increasing medication co-payments, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2206 Hill, increasing liability coverage for foster parents, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2220 Silva, requiring regional centers to be subject to the Public Records Act, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2234 Lowenthal, modifying mental health realignment and Proposition 63 target groups, holding committee. Assembly Bill 2244 Fuhrer, reforming health care coverage underwriting, do pass. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2342 Evans, creating a resource guide for foster youth, do pass with amendments reducing costs. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2352, Speaker Perez, providing Medi-Cal transplant anti-rejection medication, do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2354, Victor Manuel Perez, requiring an assessment of promotores programs, do pass as amended to delete the assessment and instead require feedback about viability of federal health reform funding for promotores activities. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2374, Nestande, extending an IHSS pilot program, do pass. The measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2456, Tarico, standardizing emergency medical practices, do pass as amended to eliminate the general fund costs. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2463 Brownlee, codifying child care resource and referral programs, do pass with amendments limiting the bill to codifying the current role of the resource and referral network. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2470 De La Torre, requiring standardization in health insurance applications. Do pass. Measure is out on a B. Roll call. Assembly Bill 2477, Jones, eliminating mid-year status reporting for children on Medi-Cal. Do pass. The measure is out on a B. Roll call. Assembly Bill 2555, fewer funding long-term care ombudsman programs. Do pass is amended to add an urgency clause. The measure is out on an A. Roll call. Assembly Bill 2578, Jones, establishing rate regulation of health insurance. Do pass is amended with several authors' technical corrections. The measure is out on a B. Roll call. Assembly Bill 2586, Chesbro, requiring increased information about health provider network adequacy. Holding committee. Assembly Bill 2590, Lowenthal, authorizing disclosure of information for HIV disease management services. Holding committee. Assembly Bill 2599, Bass, Medi-Cal, South Los Angeles. Do pass is amended to add Fuentes as a co-author. Measures out on a B. Roll call. Assembly Bill 2720, Speaker Perez, Public Health, Food Justice. Do pass. Measure is out on a B. Roll call. On with the suspense file. General and local government business, housing, transportation, agricultural, jobs, and utilities. Assembly Bill 1639, NAVA, mediated mortgage workout program. Do pass with amendments making implementation contingent on federal funds. Measure is out on a B. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1650, fewer, prohibiting public contracts with firms having specified investments in Iran. Do pass. Measure is out on an A. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1659, Huber, establishing sunset dates for state agencies. Do pass. Measure is out on an A. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1670, Bell, state highway routes 82 and 130 relinquishment. Measure is recommended. Do pass. It's out on an A. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1676, residency requirements for elected officials. Do pass with amendments removing provisions regarding the legislature. The measure is out on an A. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1697, Hall, extend sunset on 2009-10 court security fee increase. Do pass with an amendment changing the sunset date to July 1, 2013. Measures out on a B. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1737, Ng, collecting more detailed demographic data. Holding committee. Assembly Bill 1757, Monning, subject Central Coast Veterans Cemetery Development. Do pass with amendments clarifying that the project cannot proceed to construction until the endowment fund is sufficient to cover annual operating costs. The measure is out on an A. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1769, Tran, reimburse counties for special elections costs. Holding committee. Assembly Bill 1771, Mendoza, changing prison industry authority contracting process. Holding committee. Assembly Bill 1772, Mendoza, vehicles, raises commercial vehicle weight limits. The measures do pass. Out on an A. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1787, Swanson, requiring narrative descriptions for regulations packages. Holding committee. Assembly Bill 1815, Emerson, authorizing NASCAR special interest license plates. Do pass with amendments indemnifying state and allowing Bureau of Automotive Repair to enter into a licensing agreement for plates but at no state cost. Measures out on an A. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1820, Portantino, establishing the Office of the California Inspector General. Holding committee. Arambula, Assembly Bill 1827, requiring in-person staffing at one-stop career centers. The measure is do pass as amended to reduce to 50 one-stop centers. Republicans are not voting. That measure is out. Assembly Bill 1853, Huffman, bid preference on state contracts for contractors providing employee health care. Do pass with amendments requiring contractors and subcontractors seeking the bid preference to instead certify that they provide credible health care coverage as defined, adding a sunset date of January 1, 2017. Measure is out on a B. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1865, Strickland, Local Housing Trust Fund Matching Grant Program. Do pass. Measures out on an A. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1868, Jones, prohibiting disability discretionary clauses. Do pass. Measures out on a B. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1878, Liu, revising statewide forms to collect data on sexual orientation. Holding committee. Assembly Bill 1879, Bell, PUC proceeding and overbilling of small commercial customers. Do pass. Measure is out on a B. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1896, Jeffries, creating a new liquor license category. Do pass with amendments removing the new licensing category. Measure is out on without any Republican votes. Assembly Bill 1897, Jones, repealing authority to sell a portion of the State Compensation Insurance Fund. Holding committee. Assembly Bill 1899, Ng, expanding the transparency website. Do pass with amendments eliminating the cost by limiting the bill to codifying the executive orders. Measure is out on a with no Republican votes. Assembly Bill 1912, Evans, creating the California Apiary Research Commission. Do pass. Measure is out on a B. Roll call. Assembly Bill 1957, Silva, requiring specific notification to local government agencies for regulations. Hold in committee. Assembly Bill 1960, Ma, requiring the purchase of California-grown Fruits and vegetables do pass with amendments encouraging the departments to purchase California-grown foods. The measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1994, Skinner, establishing statewide workers' compensation presumptions for hospital workers, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2030, Amada, establishing the Self-Employment Assistance Program, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2032, Davis, fee for entertainment work permits. Do pass with an amendment deleting the initial $50 fee and instead of authorizing the Labor Commission to establish a fee of up to $50. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2043, Tarico, allowing the redevelopment funds for mortgage assistance, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2055, De La Torre, extending unemployment benefits to pending domestic partners. Do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2058, Block, reduces barriers to enrollment in the California Training Benefits Program. Do pass as amended to narrow provisions and reduce costs. Assembly Bill 20 measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2061, Carter, mandates IOU distribution and transmission efficiency measures, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2064, Speaker John Perez, requiring a notice of funding availability emergency housing shelter operations grant program. Do pass. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2065, Calderon, expanding the redevelopment area in the city of Downey to include the future Tesla Motors plant, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2087, Torres, makes multi-unit dwellings eligible for CalVet loans. Do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2097, Miller, vehicles requiring additional address information for certain DMV records. Do pass with amendments to phase in update of employer address information to reduce DMV costs. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2099, Miller, requiring teen driver information and vehicle driver's handbook, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2121, Harkey, High-Speed Rail Authority, additional reporting requirements. Do pass with amendments modifying the annual report, deleting the sunset dates, other clarifying amendments. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2122, Mendoza, expanding continuing education for licensed pest control advisors. Do pass. Measures out on a roll call. AB 2130, Huber, creating a legislative sunset review process. Do pass. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2143, Gilmore, Department of Veteran Affairs, consolidation of services to veterans. Do pass with amendments deleting the contents of the bill and instead requiring EDD to report on current veterans employment assistance programs and options to increase program integration, coordination, and service delivery. The measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2188, Bradford, modernizing payment of disability insurance benefit payments. Do pass as amended to delete the reporting requirements and narrow to disability insurance. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly 2193, Hall, extending the card room moratorium. Do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2197, Coda, creating a new problem in pathological gambling grant program, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2198, Cook, appropriating $30 million in SDF money for local mitigation grants, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2215, Fuentes, allowing the advanced deposit wagering at satellite wagering facilities. Do pass with amendments allowing the horse racing board to evaluate the use of ADW machines at other wagering venues. The measure is out on a roll call. Assembly Bill 2253, Code, expanding cancer workers' compensation presumptions for public safety professionals. Do pass as amended to reduce cap to 10 years and to leave service year presumption conversion at current law levels. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2269, Adams, expanding cardiac workers' compensation presumptions for public safety professionals, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2287, Bass, establishing a small business procurement goal and codifying the Office of Economic Development, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2293, Torres, establishing a new construction loan program, loan options for housing bond funds. Do pass with amendments, adding an urgency. The measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2338, Conway, vehicles, allowing off-way highway vehicles to operate on certain county roads in Inyo County. Do pass with amendments to make authorization contingent on CHP approval. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2383, Evans, reporting and setting priorities for bond-funded projects, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2403, Strickland, expanding the transparency website, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2411, Jones, regulating pet insurance. Do pass. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2414, Speaker Perez, establishing a Breeders' Cup incentive program. Do pass. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2437 by Victor Manuel Perez, creating a new manufacturing loan and loan guarantee program. Do pass with amendments limiting the loan program to federal funding and prohibiting the use of general fund. Measures out on a roll call. Hagman, Assembly Bill 2438, earmarking of state property lease revenue, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2441, Berry Hill, Tom, reexamining allocation public goods gas charge, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2457, Salas, California Financial Literacy Fund. Do pass with amendments reducing costs. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2466, Smythe, requiring legislative committees to review regulations packages, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2473, Huber, reporting demographic data on state employees in Sacramento, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2475, Bell, complaint process for family court experts, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2476, Victor Manuel Perez, changing criteria for targeted employment areas and enterprise zones, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2499, Portantino, vehicles, revising regulations affecting traffic violators, school programs. Do pass. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2514 Skinner mandates targets for use of energy storage systems by electric utilities. Do pass with amendments giving the PUC until October 2013 to adopt targets, authorizing the PUC in establishing the targets to encourage cost-effective deployment of energy storage systems, applying targets to all load-serving entities, requiring the POU targets for 2016 and 2021. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2516 Hill Housing Accessibility Task Force Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2518, Victor Manuel Perez, creating the California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank Local Assistance Program Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2521, Tarico Annual Controller Auditing of Courts. Do pass with amendments, starting with the pilot audit of 6 trial courts, making each trial court audit every 4 years and the AOC audit every 2 years. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2522 Saldana prohibits public funding for professional sports teams who black out home games. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2529 Fuentes requiring BSA economic analysis of proposed regulations. Do pass with amendments deleting the contents of the bill and allowing third-party review of the economic impact of regulations, requiring that the information be provided to the legislature. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2531 Fuentes allowing job training and redevelopment projects. Do pass. Measures a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2536, Speaker Perez, allowing Housing and Emergency Shelter Fund to be used for supportive housing. Do pass as amended, changing author from Perez to Carter. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2561, Valines, establishes the Secretary of Energy and Department of Energy. Do pass. Measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2579, Evans, creating a master plan for infrastructure financing and development commission. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2581, Bradford, banking development districts. Do pass with amendments allowing credit unions to participate in reducing general fund costs. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2596, Portantino, assessing late fees for gambling licenses. Do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2614, Speaker Perez, implementing new federal energy efficiency program. Do pass. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2620, Ing, earmarking a portion of a new toll facility revenue for highway rehabilitation. Do pass with amendments establishing the percentage up to 15% subject to a cooperative agreement between Caltrans and the local agency, and to be spent for SHOP projects only, prohibiting borrowing or diversion of these revenues. Other clarifying amendments. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2646, Speaker Perez, requiring residents' address information on vehicle registrations. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2652, NELO, requiring a legislative review of regulations. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2659, TRAN, creating the Business Master License Center. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2661, SILAS, mental health assessments for deployed National Guard members. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2663, Lowenthal, delaying transfers from local governments when their fiscal year starts on October 1. Do pass with amendments ensuring that delayed payments are made within the state's fiscal year. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2679, Ing, require energy and water consumption reductions in state buildings. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2692, TRAN, California Small Business Board. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2695, Hernandez, creating the California Nursery Producers Commission. Do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly with Conway recorded as an aye. Assembly Bill 2714, Victor Manuel Perez, moving the Office of Small Business Advocate to the BTH. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2724, Blumenfield, expand governmental renewable energy program to state facilities. Do pass. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2734, Speaker Perez, codifying the Office of Economic Development. Do pass with amendments to leading the Economic Development Council and retaining economic strategy panel at EDD. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2754, Speaker Perez, reporting requirements for Governor's Office of Planning and Research. Do pass with amendments specifying OPR planning-related responsibilities and making employees in planning unit part of the civil service system. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2757, Bradford, limiting the sale of cigar wraps. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2763, Fuhr, conversion of subordinate judicial officers to judgeships. Do pass. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2784, Cook, California Veterans Board. Do pass with an amendment deleting the needs assessment and related work. Measure is out on an A roll call. Very good. Members, we're going to go back to Assembly Bill 2287, Bass, establishing a small business procurement goal and codifying the Office of Economic Development. The recommendation is do pass as amended to change author to modding, delete contents, and replace with health reform federal funding opportunities. Republicans are not voting. Measure is out. Very good, members. We're going on. This is the final one, resources on the suspense file. Assembly Bill 1774, Saldana, recycled water, state agency landscape irrigation. Do pass is amended to specify that a government agency seeking to require a state agency to use recycled water can do so only if projected cost is equal to or less than the cost of delivering public water. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1788, Yamada Water Development Project, State Financial Assistance. Do pass. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1797, Bill Berryhill, State Water Resources Development System, Delta Corridors Plan, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1818, Blumenfield, Santa Monica Conservancy, Upper Los Angeles River and Watershed Protection Program, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1834, Solorio, Rainwater Capture Act of 2010. Do pass is amended to specify systems must conform to building standards. The measures out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1873, Huffman, Pace Bonds, Market-Based Compliance Mechanism Revenues. Do pass is amended to authorize CalPERS, the State Compensation Insurance Fund, and PMIA to invest in Pace Bonds so to lower interest rates for property owners, improving energy efficiency, clean energy, and water conservation of the residential or commercial property. The measure is out, with Republicans not voting. Assembly Bill 1886, Yamada, Water Use, Sacramento, San Joaquin, Delta Watershed Report, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 1930, De La Torre, prohibits the sale of glass beads used for blasting equipment that contain specified amount of arsenic or lead. Do pass. The measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 1981, Hill, Recycling Waste Tires, Fees. Do pass is amended to raise per vehicle fee to $10.50, split proportionally between APCF and WTP, and to require BAR to complete a study of whether the fee change is revenue neutral. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 1998, Brownlee, Solid Waste Single-Use Carry-Out Bags. Do pass is amended to require stores to make available paper bags at a reasonable cost and to provide fee-based certification of reusable bag manufacturers and penalty provisions on non-compliant stores. The measure is out on a B roll call. Mr. Majority Leader Calderon, Recorder, is not voting. Assembly Bill 2049, Arambula, State Water Resources Development System, Transfers of Water. Do pass is amended to specify that applicants who transfer water pay fee to DWR to cover all related administrative costs. That measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2125, Ruskin, Coastal Resources, Marine Spatial Planning. Do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2132, Carter, Energy, Renewable Energy Resources, Energy Improvements. Do pass is amended to sunset bill as January 1, 2012. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2138, Chesbro, Product Management, Single-Use Recyclable Packaging Containers, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2139, Chesbro, Solid Waste Product Stewardship. Do pass is amended to direct CalRecycle to nominate products to be covered by the Extended Producer Responsibility Program and to prohibit CalRecycle from implementing the EPR program for any covered product without first receiving approval of the legislature. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2176, Blumenfield, Hazardous Waste, Lighting Products, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2214, Fuentes, Public Resources, Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, Pacoima Watch. Do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2223, Nava, Wildlife Management Areas, Non-Toxic Shot. Do pass is amended to clarify definition of deer range. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2289, Ing, Smog Check Program Testing Penalties. Do pass to specify effective date January 1, 2013 of BAR regulations to require BAR to submit recommendations to the governor and legislature regarding the appropriate measures to mitigate costs of smog check stations required to upgrade equipment. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2299, Blakesley, State Air Resources Board Rules and Regulations, Impacts Analysis, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2301, Logue, Fire Protection, Public Lands, Defensible Space. Do pass is amended to change shall to may to include 10 land conservancies among the state public lands agencies to align review timeframes with existing CEQA timeframes. Measure is out on an A roll call. AB 2311, Mendoza, California Global Warming Solutions Act of 2006, Low Carbon Fuel Review, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2313, Buchanan, Greenhouse Gas Emissions Significant Effects. Do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2329, Ruskin, Environmental Protection, Greenhouse Gas Emissions Climate Action Team. Do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2353, Low Conservancies Reporting Requirements, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2360, Chesbro, Forest Resources Improvement Fund, Holding Committee. The legislature. Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2376, Huffman, Fish and Wildlife Strategic Vision. Do pass is amended to specify that the Secretary shall convene the committee only to the extent private resources available to pay for the cost of the committee. Measures out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2388, Miller, Hazardous Waste Identification Number, Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2398, Speaker Perez, Product Stewardship, Carpet. Do pass. Do pass. As amended. The measure is out on a B roll call for now. Assembly Bill 2453, Trans, Oil and Gas Operations Enforcement Actions, do pass. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2465, Yamada Vector Control State Agencies Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2469, Bilberry Hill State Air Resources Board Dispute Resolutions Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2503, Speaker Perez, Ocean Resources Artificial Reefs, do pass as amended to specify a process for oil rig conversion to account for the study to provide information related to oil and gas platform decommissioning alternatives in California, and makes other clarifying changes. The measure is out on a roll call. Assembly Bill 2575, Chesborough Resources Watersheds, do pass as amended to lead requirement that CAL FIRE post THPs online. The measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2583, Hall Water Treatment Hazardous Materials Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2655, ING Natural Resources Advanced Infrastructure Mitigation Program Act Holding Committee. Assembly Bill 2669, Victor Manuel Perez, the Safe Drinking Water, Water Quality and Supply Flood Control River and Coastal Protection Bond Act of 2006 Integrated Water Quality and Wastewater Treatment Program Plan, Riverside County. Do pass as amended to Rec DWR to encourage a recipient of specified bond monies to work with certain stakeholders, consider use of contract nonprofits, and consider methods such as consolidation of community water systems that provide cost savings for high-priority water-related problems affecting disadvantaged communities. The measure is out. Republicans not voting. Assembly Bill 2670, Speaker Perez, State Capital Sustainability Task Force, do pass as amended to allow use of certain capital roadways as bike lanes. Measure is out on a B roll call. Assembly Bill 2718, Adams Recycling Beverage Containers Recycling Centers, do pass. Measure is out on an A roll call. Assembly Bill 2739, Blakesley Office of Oil Spill Prevention and Response, do pass as amended to specify OSPR to administer and do pass as amended to specify OSPR administrator is to consult with appropriate federal agencies. Measure is out on an A roll call. Thank you, members. We're done.